All right. How's everyone doing today?
Great.
Doing great.
How are
Awesome.
you?
Thank you for answering. I was going to say less mute and more conversation. So before we get going, Brian, I got a crazy question to ask you. Where are you coming up with these? Now, I love the dialogue that you're creating online, but where are you coming up with these questions?
On Facebook?
Yeah, I could absolutely prove to you the Earth is flat, but you'll still never fall off of it.
Well, I mean, that's a whole conversation, but
I know we don't have time here.
yeah, that's it's just how the question is worded. It's justifying how it's perceived flat.
Listen, it's flat in relation to the center of the Earth at that one point, and that's it. As you travel, it is no longer flat. Anyway, I love the dialogue you're creating and the engagement you're creating on that. It's really fascinating. So, hats off to you on that. Marie, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. I got a call this morning of an old lead that I had, 2 years old, and he's ready to list his house. So
Awesome.
it proves that when you plant those seeds and you follow up, eventually they keep you in mind. And so when they sell, they will call you.
There's a great lesson in here, the whole follow-up. Now, tell us a little bit, how have you been following up with this person? How often do you reach out to him?
I reach out to him first. When I first met him, I was reaching out like every 2 days, and most of the time he didn't answer. He didn't respond my calls. Eventually he did, and then I tried to help him. He wanted to fix his credit. I helped him with answers. He wasn't ready to sell, and I call him after that like every 2 months.
Okay, wonderful. That's awesome news. Keith, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for asking.
Don't run into any telephone poles.
I won't. I promise you. I'm very alert.
Excellent.
There's a lot of traffic, so it's really stop and go.
Oh, good. You won't hit anything going fast then. Mark Benson, how are you doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Excellent. Good to see you, buddy. And Sammy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Doing great, thanks. You guys ready to get started?
Yes.
All right. What are you running into out there right now? What is happening in your world right now? How many of you have been in with the seller and said, we're not going to list, but if you bring me a buyer, I'll pay you a commission?
Yes, I get that all the time.
Dee Dee's got one.
Today.
So she's got, Dee Dee's got one today that actually is leaving in about 45 minutes for an appointment on that exact topic. So let's talk about that one. What sort of objections, what do you think the motivation is behind a seller who says, I don't want to list, but if you bring me a buyer, I'll pay you a commission?
Saving commission, mostly.
Okay. So they have the perception that they're going to save a commission. What else?
They think because the market is so hot, it's easy to find a buyer, which they're correct. It's easy to find a buyer.
Now, how easy is it to find a buyer in any market?
Under price.
Perfect. It does not matter how hot the market is. You can find a buyer in any market. You can sit down with the seller and say, you know what? I'll tell you what, give me 5 minutes. I'll sell your house right now. Walk across the street, get a check from a neighbor for $100, bring it to the seller. They're not going to take it, but you can find a buyer within 5 minutes in any market. So Mary, you hit a very interesting point there, and it all relates to top dollar and bottom line net for the seller, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to do our normal role play. We're going to have one of you as a seller, one of you as the agent, and we're going to role play the I don't want to list, but if you bring a buyer, I'll pay you. So who would, and I'm not going to pick on Whitney or Gina. They just got here. We'll pick on them next round. So Bryant, do you want to be the seller or do you want to be the agent on this?
I'll be the agent.
All right, terrific. So Bryant's going to be the agent. Maria, I'm going to have you be the seller. You do not want to list, but you will pay a commission.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, Maria, how important is it to you to get the most money for your home?
Really important. That's why
Really
I'm
important.
sell by owner.
Okay. And if you were to get the best offer out there possible, where would you be moving to?
We're going to Florida.
Florida. And how important is that to you?
I got my family there, and I want to be close to them.
Okay. And how long have y'all been separated?
Probably 5 years.
5 years. Is that causing I guess some strain on the relationships, or are y'all kind of want to get there and be closer to each other? Like tell me about that situation.
Well, I was relocated here, and my job is here in California, but now I can work from home, and my the company I work for allow me to work from home, so I'm able to move wherever I want, and my family is there, so I can spend time with them. You know, I have my brothers there, and we can spend time more often.
Okay. And if this whole process was to be smooth for you, would that make everybody happy, including you, if you were to move to Florida?
Sure.
Okay. And I know you mentioned that it is important to get top dollar for this. If the experience with you trying to sell it yourself as for sub owner, like you mentioned, tell me about that experience. Are you getting any offers where you like, or?
Brian, this is not the first time I'm selling on my own. I've sold 2 homes before, and I just put it on the market yesterday. And if you have a buyer, bring me a buyer. I'll pay your commission.
Okay. And do you feel like buyers are only seeing houses in your area, or kind of tell me about that experience? Like, are buyers coming to see your house and going to the next one, or how's that experience working with buyers?
Well, I'm sure the buyers are going to see other houses, but if you look at my house has a lot of upgrades. It has great things. I'm sure that the buyers will pay what I'm asking for, or maybe more. I already had offers.
And and has a buyer put in an offer where you wanted your price?
I have two buyers that said that they're going to send me the offer. I haven't got it yet, but they told me they will send it.
And when was this?
One, the price that I'm asking, and the other one is saying that they're going to offer me $10,000 more.
Yeah, and was this a day or was this a few days ago? They said they were going to put an offer in.
They're going to put an offer and they're going to send it to me. That was yesterday.
Yesterday. Okay. And if you think the buyers really wanted this house in this competitive market, do you think they would have put an offer in that within an hour, or when?
Well, if they want the house, yeah, I'm sure they could. I mean, they have to put it right away, but I haven't got it yet. They said they're going to send it.
Okay. And with the other competition with the houses on the market right now, do you think they just would have seen your house and went to the other houses? I mean, if they loved your house and wanted your house, like you just said, they would have put the offer in right there. So do you believe those buyers really truly love your house and are going to put top dollar for your home in, or no?
You know, I don't know. We'll see. You know, I just put my house on the market a couple of days ago, and
And what if these buyers don't put an offer in? What's your next step?
I'm sure there will be other buyers. Do you have any buyer?
Well, we worked with over 90 buyers in your area, your specific zip code last year. And if there's anything possible I could do to help, I'm definitely here to do that. And of course, seems like it's important for you to be in Florida with your family. So with it being that important, how is it really affecting your day with working with these buyers that are just coming and seeing the house and moving on to the next?
Well, I'm off from work for this month, And so I do have the time. I have no problem showing the house.
30
And
seconds.
if you do have a buyer, I can show it to you.
Okay. I'm kind of stuck here, John.
All right, Bryant, awesome. I love the questions. Okay, let me ask you, and there's a few new people on here today, Whitney being one of them. Whitney, welcome.
Whitney wants
Cheryl-
to know the actual, she was asking if there were actual scripts. Could you go through, acknowledge the
Yep,
steps that Denny does for the
absolutely.
new
That's
people?
exactly when we're going to be debriefing Bryant. We're going to be covering that. And Cheryl, are you, have you been on with us before?
No, I have not. I'm new.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Awesome. And there's a couple other names without cameras on. When you put your cameras on, we'll call you out. So, Whitney, to answer your question, and the same one that a couple others I have out here is, we teach with Denny teaches us to use conversational scripting, and we follow a very simple pattern. Once you can remember these 4 steps, it's really easy to manage a conversation. Acknowledge the objection. That's number 1. Number 2, isolate. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? That's how I remember that. The second step is isolate. Is there anything else? Once you've isolated the objection or objections, then you've earned the right to handle the objections and close. So, Bryant, you asked great questions. How do you think you did?
How do I think I did?
Yep.
I mean, I guess scored 1 to 10. I think like a 6 or 7.
Okay. What did you do well? Besides asking questions, I already gave you that one.
Acknowledged how important it was to move to Florida.
Okay.
Also talked about how competitive the market was, how the buyers are kind of played on our perspective, how these buyers, if they love the house, they're going to put an offer within that hour. And we'll do her, what she's seeing, that the buyers didn't put an offer in. So they could have went and seen another house and moved on.
Okay. And Marie, what were you looking for? What was the 1 point or 2 points that Bryant may have missed that would have gotten him farther down the road with you?
I think that if he would have said that that hiring him, I would net more money than what I would expect selling on my own.
Okay. So, Marie, I want you to hold that thought, because you're going to be the agent with that exact objection. You're going to demonstrate how to net more money. Now, Bryant, a couple things that that I wrote down here. Your questions were great. They were phenomenal. I would encourage you to ask them with a little more compassion.
Yeah.
And the one that I wrote down is, how does it feel to be separated from your family? That feels, and I'm saying this completely transparent. I was supposed to see my parents for the first time in 2.5 years this weekend. My flight was going through Philadelphia, which many of you know was flooded out. So the flight got canceled and I didn't get to go see them. So that feels sterile, especially in the context that I'm going through right now. Maybe a better way to put this is, how do you feel? How does that feel about your family? How would you feel if you get to see them more? Bring out the positive emotions about them seeing their family, as opposed to dwelling on the negative about being separated from them. All right. We're going to make decisions most often based on emotion. And when we're going to do that, you'd much rather have a better or more pleasant emotion tied to that decision as opposed to a negative. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, terrific. So we're going to pick up this role play. Marie, you're going to be the agent. Okay. Moses, welcome.
Good morning.
You ready to give Marie a run for the money and be the seller on this one?
Sure. What exactly is
So
the?
you guys are at the table. You're a for sale by owner, and Marie just said to you, "Let me show you how I can net you more money."
Okay.
All right. There you go. You're off and running.
Okay, Marie, how can you make me more money than I can make for myself?
Okay, Moses, I understand you want a for sale by owner because you want to net the most money, correct? And let me ask you, is there any other reason that net the most money that is stopping you from hiring an agent like myself?
No, not particularly. I'm on, my priority is getting the most amount of money and in a timely fashion.
Okay, netting the most money and in a timely fashion. And what would be your time frame on that?
I don't know. I guess my deadline would be about 90 days.
90 days. Okay, great. Now let me ask you, Moses. You want to net top dollar, correct?
Of course.
Okay. So the only way to net top dollar is exposing your house to all the buyers out there. And
So how are you going to do that differently than I would?
yes, I'm glad you asked that question. And first of all, when you hire an agent like me, I am not only going to do the passive marketing, but I am going to do the active marketing, which is I do not only put the sign on the yard and put it on the MLS, but I am proactive. I have a complete package of marketing to expose your home to all the buyers out there, so you can have more than few and get you the top dollar. And also on top of that, you will hire a negotiator. Do you feel that you would need a good negotiator to handle the transaction?
No, I was just going to require the buyer to pay, everything, including closing costs.
Okay, so you're going to require them to pay everything. I understand that.
I was thinking that might be easier for me and save me any kind of headache that might arise.
I hear what you're saying. Let me ask you, are you a professional negotiator, Moses?
Okay, where do I go from here?
All right, I'll tell you what, let's call time and let's kind of break down where we're at this point. Marie, how do you feel you did?
I think I throw questions different ways. I think I have to be more organized on my questions.
Okay. And Moses, how did you feel as the client there?
My what I got to see was the other side, and she was not very she was generalized, so it wasn't like touching me. It was more of like a general, like, oh, I'm going to display this to more people, but she didn't touch me and say what she was going to do.
Okay, so let's back that up for a second. So one of the things, and we all get stuck in this, and Marie, you fell victim to this now also, was we laundry listed. Moses asked the question, well, what are you going to do for me? And you went, I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E. Okay. Moses, what are you going to do for me? Let me ask you this, Moses.
Yes.
You're going for sale by owner.
Yes.
And already your world's falling apart on you.
Okay.
Is your screen's collapsing.
Sure.
So tell me about the marketing that you're doing. It's really difficult for me to address what I can do differently until I know what you're doing.
That's a good question.
Okay, so now what that question does is that opens the seller up to thinking, what am I doing? Well, I'm putting it on Zillow. Excellent. That's great. So you're marketing to all the wholesale buyers. And that's exactly the look that you guys are all giving me is exactly the look that the sellers will give you. What do you mean the wholesale buyers? Well, who buys a for sale by owner? Someone who's looking to save money, right? Why are you selling for sale by owner? You want to save money. Who's going to save the money? The least emotional one, the one with the more options. And that's not us as sellers. It's usually the buyers, isn't it? You have one house to sell. They've got, even in this market, they've got 5 they can choose from. So start digging down into the pain. What's it like if your home doesn't sell? Are you sure you're getting top dollar? And that's where that question that Moses asked, what are you going to do differently? Well, Moses, what we're going to do is we're going to expose your property to where all the real retail buyers are, which is those that are already working with real estate agents. You are co-broking and you are willing to pay an agent that comes and brings a buyer, aren't you? Okay. So what you're looking to save is really about 3%. Now, we break the commission down into a small, manageable number. I didn't say 5%, 6%, 8%, whatever your market brings. So what you're really looking to save is half the commission because you're willing to pay somebody to do half the job. Can I show you how that doesn't make sense? What's your time worth? What do you do for work? How are you going to set up showings? You just get them thinking, okay, great. So you're going to pay somebody to do these for you. Awesome. Then you have to pay an attorney. And so really you're looking at saving about 1%. And all this time you're having dialogue with the seller and bringing them down this road so that they're coming to the realization on their own. Oh, we're looking to save 1%. And Keith, you're muted. So if you're talking to us, I can't hear you. I'm sorry. I see your mouth moving, but.
Yeah, I'm at the school here, so it's a little loud in the background.
No problem. I didn't know if you were speaking with us or something in the
I'm
background.
following along though.
Perfect. So now we're talking about a 1% savings, and now you can go into a story. Let me tell you a little bit about a for sale by owner that we just worked with who was just like you. They wanted to save in this case about $15,000 worth of fees. We listed their property for $50,000 more than they were asking and sold it in 2 days for full price. They netted about $40,000 more than had they continued on that path. Do you think they were happy to work with a professional like me?
Can you say that last part again?
It's being recorded, but
oh, okay, sorry.
Yes, no, that's all right. It's Whitney is being recorded, and these all will be put on Denny's page, usually within a day. And at the outset, I'm sorry, I didn't apologize for Denny. He is not here today. He is preparing for our annual Market Trends event, which is coming up on Thursday night. Denny gets up and gives a state of the real estate market in Southwest Florida every September. And today is his dress rehearsal. So I got a text from him last night, said, you're on. So there you go. You get the second string today. But now, Whitney, these are all scripts that Denny will absolutely run over and over and over again, which is, what would it feel like to you to experience what this seller did? This seller who is just like you. Anytime you want to emphasize anything, put a pause. There's a big difference between saying, hey, we had a seller who's just like you and netted $40,000 more. Or we had a seller who was just like you. And by hiring a professional like me, they netted $40,000 more. Would you like that opportunity? Simple questions. We want to back off of the laundry listing and the telling what we can do, because we've got 15 people on this call, and guess what? If we were all asked, what do you do differently? Cheryl's already laughing because she knows. What do you do differently? We all would laundry list the same thing, proving that our list of stuff that we do, that we just pull out of the sky, is always the same. And it does not matter. What matters is that we're listening to what they need. Laundry listing doesn't help them. Solving their challenges, solving their problems doesn't. The only way to do that is to listen. Make sense? All right. So next one. Let's see. You're working with a buyer. Marky is going to be the agent. Cheryl, I'll give you an easy one. All right. You're going to be the buyer. And here's the objection. We love this house. How can you guarantee we're going to get it? Marky would have already been covered this had she been on role play this morning, but she had another appointment and wasn't able to make it. So there you have it. Marky, you're playing makeup now.
Oh,
Cheryl?
I was on role play this morning.
Oh, good. Then you
I
ought
was
to be able
gonna
to
say
handle
she
this.
was on role play.
Oh, I wasn't
we
paying
didn't
it.
do this
No, that's
one,
right.
though.
I wasn't. That's right. I was at a client's house. So it's my fault. Anyway, so there is the objection. Cheryl, how is Marky going to guarantee that she's going to get you the house? Ready, set, go. 3 minutes.
Marky, you know, John and I just love this home and we want it. So how can you guarantee you're going to get it in this competitive market? I'm freaking out.
You know, I can understand that. I know that you guys have been looking for quite some time, and I don't want you to feel discouraged. You will definitely put our best foot forward. Now, let me ask you: the house is listed at $500,000. What is the property worth to you?
Well, I sort of seek your counsel. I don't know. You know the market better than I do. I just know I love the house. What would you suggest?
Well, in this market, what we're seeing a lot is the list price, or the asking price is the starting line. This, and this are what the homes sold for. X amount of, or last month. This is the only home that's available right now. So I'll ask again, what is the home worth to you?
Well, our budget was, our top price was 500. So are you saying if we come in at 5, then we have a chance, or we don't have a chance based on the comps? Because it looks like some of them have sold for more and right at 5. So what if we come in right at 5?
Well, we can, if that is the highest and your highest and best offer, that's all we can do. Now, so let me ask you, if someone were to have purchased the home for $505,000 and you find that out later, how would that make you feel?
Terrible, horrible, absolutely horrible. We love this house. This is our house. I want this house. So are you suggesting I come in at 505,000, then 100,000? Is that what you're suggesting? Or should we come in, we're pushing the envelope, but what if we come in at, and that's the thing, Marky, John really doesn't want to get in a bidding war. How do we know that ours would be the top to offer? And then I guess that's it, right? We just offer the top amount that we can, and then that's it.
Well, yeah, it's like a closed or a sealed auction. John, I can't remember if that's what you always say. We don't really know where the other offers are going to come in at. So the only thing that we can do is offer the
Put our best
highest. Yes.
Best foot forward. Okay. All right. So, all right, let's go with 507 and let's see if we can get it. But, I want them to do repairs if needed. Is that all right to ask for that? And, what are other particulars I need to be aware of? Like inspection time, closing time. What do you suggest?
Well,
1 minute, Marky. 1 minute.
Oh God. Well, I spoke to the listing agent, and they're really looking for someone that will allow them some flexibility with the closing time, as they're going to be closing on another home of theirs. So if you can be flexible on the closing time, that would definitely help, your offer look more appealing to them. As far as inspections and those terms and asking for repairs, I'm sure there are buyers in this market that are waiving these inspections and these timelines and contingencies, how would it make you feel that if your offer beat them or beat other offers? Oh, shoot.
Time.
Okay. All right.
Marky, good job. Good job.
Thank
All
you.
right. So Marky, what did you do well?
How would it make you feel if, yeah, just kind of going on the emotion.
Okay. What do you feel you could have done better?
Started, well, I don't know. I kind of was getting going there a little bit at the end.
You were getting going. You were getting going. So Cheryl, how did you feel as a buyer?
For me, I would say that, you know, I would have liked it more if she was really more decisive in some of her responses to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's exactly why we do this.
Right. And so for me, it was more like, okay, I'm trusting you to help me figure out how to get this house because I really want it. And that's when I would have liked her to say, okay, I've spoken to the other agent. And I would say, are there other offers? There are no other offers at the time. We need to make this a very clean offer. I know you're coming in at your budget. Let's see if we can go over. If you're good, you know, we'll talk to your lender. Let's just go in higher and let's get that offer in ASAP. First in, first chosen, hopefully. You know, I would have been much more, yeah, I would have been much, I mean, for me, it would be as a buyer, I'd want like help, you know, quick action.
So, Cheryl, let me ask you this. Let's kind of play this out. Okay, I'm going to step into Marky's shoes here for a second. So, you know, Cheryl, I understand the budget, and this is absolutely at the top of your budget. Now, side note, when someone says that their budget, that does not mean that is the most they can spend.
Right.
That is the number that they've decided they can spend. Okay. So, you know, Cheryl, do you think the markets are working for you, against you right now?
Against me.
So if we're not able to come to an agreement on this home and something just like it comes up in about 3 months, how much more do you think it'll cost?
Oh, well, I would assume with the accelerated market, more.
How much more? If you had to put a number on it, how much more?
You know, 20,000.
Okay. And with the interest rates where they are now, obviously they're at crazy lows. How long do you expect them to stay that way?
I have no idea. Maybe a little while longer, depending on what's going to happen in the world. Don't know.
Okay. So we've got two factors that are working against you right now.
True.
With that considered, if you were to wake up tomorrow and heard that this house sold and it sold for maybe $40 or $50 a month or $100 a month more than it would cost you now, how would you feel about that?
Terrible, terrible, just horrible. I'd be sick. That's, you know, Starbucks.
So at what point, yeah, it's a cup of coffee, right? So at what point, at what number are you willing to wake up tomorrow and say, I didn't get the house, I washed my hands of it, I'm okay? What is that number?
Probably 515.
515?
I would be, let's go higher because, you know, just in case they negotiate. So probably top dollar would be the 520,000.
Okay. So if you woke up tomorrow morning, it was $521,000, you would say, I was all in, I'm okay.
Yeah, that's my top budget. I can't go.
Okay. So Cheryl, in this market, my advice to you is that you go in at your very best. And from what you said, your very best is 520,000.
Yep. Bravo.
Okay. Did that feel a little bit different?
Yes, because you took it through you sort of took me on a journey and you helped navigate me to that point of I can see clearly the value. So yes, it was excellent.
Excellent. And again, that's the whole conversational part. It's the same conversation, but we're relating to it as individuals. Now, I don't know if everybody here is with Keller. I know most are, but Mark Benson did put a nice piece of advice up in the chat. You may want to grab that. And that is another arsenal that you have to be able to help somebody when you're in either a competing situation or they're on the fringe, just like this was. All right. Let's see. Oh, who's feeling punchy today and wants to give a lot of resistance?
I can resist pretty well.
All right, Mark. Awesome. Thank you. Mark, you're going to be the buyer. Okay. Keith, is it quiet enough there for you to be able to jump on?
I don't, I mean, it's quiet currently, but it could light up. I would, maybe next week I can get to a
Okay,
secure
not a problem.
location.
You know what? I'm going to throw Cheryl under the bus. We gave her the easy one. She seems like she's a pro. She was nice and tough with Marky as a seller. So now she gets to be the agent. Mark is a buyer, and Mark does not want to sign a buyer agency agreement. And you have 4 minutes to get him to say, okay, fine, I'll sign it. And putting a gun to his head does not count. Ready, set, go.
Mark, I would appreciate you respecting our professionalism as a realtor, and thank you so much for choosing me to work with. I'm excited to work with you, and I can't wait to help you and your partner find your home. It's very important, though, that I protect you and keep you safe, as well as our seller safe, as well as myself being safe. And I will require you, prior to our going out to look at homes, to sign our buyer's representation form. Here it is.
What does that mean?
That means that you are allowing me to work with you,
Okay.
to show you homes, to get you into people's homes, and it protects you as well as myself. And it also shows that I am representing you going forward. If we find something that you want to purchase, you're showing in that documentation that I'm going to be the agent that you'll be working with. Doesn't that sound great?
I'm not real clear on how you're protecting me.
Well, there is some liability potential. If you come into a home, I have to make sure that you are protected and I'm protected and the seller's protected, that you're not just walking in randomly unappointed with someone. I represent you on the homes that we look at and also a home that you will be purchasing.
Well, I've bought a lot of homes. I've never had to sign any kind of form.
Oh, that's very interesting. Well, here in Nevada, we do require this form, and
Who requires?
The state requires it for the, I can't think what it's called. What's it called? The, okay,
Go on.
sorry.
Don't get hung up on that.
The division of real estate.
I never
here
had to
in
sign it.
Nevada.
I bought homes in Nevada. I don't recall having to sign anything.
Well, let me ask you, Mark, what is your questioning about the form itself? Or
Well, what is it obligating me to do?
Well, it's obligating you to acknowledge that you are willing to work with me, Sherry, as your agent going forward.
Well, my word is my bond. Can't we just shake on it?
Oh, I'm always happy to shake your hand, Mark, but I think that this case, my broker would really appreciate, since he's not witnessing our handshake, he would really appreciate to have this in our documentation for our office and our file. It's purely saying, here's the nice thing, Mark, if you decide you don't want to work with me, we'll tear that copy up and throw it out. We don't have to work together. But thus far, I think we've got great synergy, and I look forward to working with you and excited to help you and Susie find a home.
Well, I appreciate you, Cheryl. You know, I just don't know if I'm ready to sign anything. You know, we were also recommended by our friends and neighbors to work with a couple other agents, and we really need to have some flexibility.
All right. May I ask you, Mark, then, what is it that you're looking for in an agent to represent you?
Well, I want to make sure that we don't miss anything.
And what would that be?
Well, you know, that we've seen homes that came on the market and sold quickly, and then we've seen that some agents just didn't even let us know about in the past.
So it's more being able to find a property that's you can find quickly. So if you're going to sign a form, you want to make sure that form's working for you.
Well, we just don't want to we just don't want to leave any stones uncovered as far as giving ourselves the most flexibility.
Well, see, that would be the great thing about hiring me as your agent, because I will not leave any stones unturned. Trust me on that. I will make sure that I am in contact with you constantly. And if anything comes up, you better be ready to go look at it ASAP because we're going. So
Cheryl, are you saying if I find a home on my own that I can just tear up the agreement?
If we have a signed document, no, that's not what that says. I mean, you don't have to use me, certainly, but it would behoove you to, because I'm going to be working, I'm going to represent you. So it's sort of like having an ally as opposed to you just representing yourself. I'm going to be able to negotiate, get the deal done, navigate it for you.
I'll tell you what, if you find the house for me, we'll work with you. How's that?
Oh, I hate it when they say that. Sorry, Jonathan, I'm stuck and I've been doing this a while. It is hard. It's a hard one. I mean, at this point, I'd probably say, that's fine. Good luck. Bye. I mean, because
Well, don't give up on me so easily.
Well, I mean, other than wrestling you and holding you down, I need to be able to have you see the value in using me. And that's where I'm struggling, I think.
Okay.
Jonathan?
This is good. This is good. So, and actually, Cheryl, and by the way, do you prefer Cheryl or Sherry?
Oh, you can call me Sherry. Cheryl.
Okay, Sherry, thank you. So, all right. So did you find yourself struggling to present the value proposition of why someone should sign with you?
Yes, because I usually don't have people push back like that when I ask them to sign. So yes. So but I have had that happen. So yes.
And it will happen, right? Yeah, it will happen. Now, I don't know how many of you guys require your buyers to be signed with you prior. I don't require it 100%. I require it on new ones, but repeats, I don't require it. That being said, wouldn't it feel good if you had your buyers listed just like your sellers?
Mm-hmm.
No different. Okay. So Mark, how would you handle that? I said, Mark, I want to keep my options open.
And John, I can appreciate that. John, tell me, have you been in your business for quite some time?
I have.
And do you work with the public or do you work mostly for your employer?
Well, you know what? I guess I work for my employer.
Okay. And John,
he signs the check.
Have you had an occasion in the past where your employer came to you and said, after you worked for 6 weeks on a project, and they said, John, we've changed our mind and we're not going to go forward on that project. And so we're not going to pay you for your time that you spent.
That wouldn't sit well.
Right. Well, I'm kind of in that same situation, John. I need to invest my time in the people that are committed to me as much as I am committed to them. And if I'm going to commit 100% to you, I need to understand that you're going to commit to 100% to working with me. And if there's something that I don't do that meets your expectations, please let me know what it is, and I'll make sure we actively work to correct that situation. And I'd like to have that confidence. Otherwise, I'm in the position of having to work with other people that I've made the commitment to, who've already committed to 100% to me.
Love that. Now, how did you guys feel about that?
That was excellent. It was the old takeaway. You felt like the sales, where you would do a takeaway, sort of like, here's my value, and if you don't see the value in that, then I'm taking it away.
So that's not a script. That's just straight from the heart. It's just experience it and having internalized it enough to know what your value proposition is, as John said.
Yep.
Right, especially, in this market. I mean, if there's a for sale by owner or, whatever it is, or, people only wanting in a certain community. I mean, if someone tells me that, I'm going to get on the phone. So I'm going to call everybody I possibly can in that community. And then if I call them up and say, hey, this is available, blah, blah, blah. And then they've already purchased with somebody else, or, that's frustrating. And I've just, turned all those wheels. And
I had a client from Sacramento who strictly over the phone only, and he wouldn't, he had 4 or 5 agents looking for him, and there was no way to get him to sign. He would not commit to any of us. He had all of us out there looking for him, and it was very frustrating. He ended up buying something, obviously not with me, but it's frustrating, especially when they're online, a lot of these buyers from out of state.
So two things come to mind. First of
Go for it,
all,
Mark.
don't promise 5-star service if you can't deliver it, because they will come back to you and say, you promised 5-star service and I'm only getting 4. All right, that's number one. And number two is you've got people who are not willing to commit to you. And the question is, how big is your funnel? How many other prospects do you have to work with? Are you willing to give up your time? And you might even ask in the sense of you have a family that you have to feed, or you have mortgage payments, whatever you've got commitments that you have to make. And if you're spending time with someone who's not willing to make a commitment to you, you need to evaluate, do you have someone else who will? Now, if you don't have a good pipeline and you don't have a good funnel, and that's the only client you have, and I'll be candid, there are times when I work with people who are in that situation. However, it's usually because I don't have something more important to do. And that's my fault for not having had someone that day. Excuse me.
It's Mark, great points. Thank you. So let's stay on this topic for a minute. All right. Why does a buyer feel it's in their benefit to have 5, 6, 10, 20 agents working for them, in air quotes?
I think
They
it's
had a
because
better
they're
chance to get the home that they wanted.
Okay. Bryant, you had something?
I think it's because of the perspective of how this industry is, because I hear it all the time. Like I'll ask this is a very important question. I'll ask a buyer, an online lead. I'll ask them, how are you looking for homes? And then they kind of think, it makes them thinking like, well, what do you mean? Well, are you looking on Zillow, Realtor.com, other agent sites? You know, how are you looking for? And I'm trying to figure out, you know, what's successful and what's not successful for them. Like they're finding some houses on Zillow they don't like, and then I try to work with them on looking at houses that are on my website on Boomtown and looking at things that I see, and then that's kind of a whole it switches over to a whole kind of pitch to why working with me. But anyways, but the perspective of every agent's website has different listings.
So Brian, you bring up, whether you realize it or not, you bring up a very interesting point here. Okay, this conversation with buyers is very much like it is with sellers. Why should I list with you? Well, you know, let me ask you, where do you think people find homes these days? Online, right? Is that all our job is to find a home? Or is that the easiest part of our job? Thank you. It's the easiest part, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, man, you know, I know it seems like everybody and their mother's got a real estate license they just got out of a box of Cracker Jacks. But if it was really as easy as going online and finding a house, everybody would do it. So there's one. Another one to consider is, how many of you heard this? I don't want to sign a buyer agency agreement because I want 5 or 10 people out there that are really hungry working for me. Have you ever heard that one? Cheryl's in pain just thinking about that one. Now, I'm not big on one-liners. This is an area where a one-liner might not be bad to play. So Cheryl, I understand you want 5 or 10 hungry agents out there working for you, right?
Yeah, I want lots of boots on the ground.
You know, I can really appreciate that. Let me ask you, have you ever been desperate before and made a bad decision?
Oh, I'm sure. I try not to, but I'm sure I have. Sure. Mm-hmm.
So you have 5 or 10 people out there that are desperate with the opportunity to make a bad decision. Is that really in your best interest?
I hadn't thought about it that way. Probably not.
Now, this part of the conversation I want you guys to keep ingrained in your mind is not necessarily something that you're going to bring out in conversation with people. If the time presents itself, you can, but just keep in mind, we are brokering the largest single investment anyone will ever make. Okay, bar none. I've had clients that are CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. They don't own the company. And yes, their IRA might have 8 or 9 digits in it, but guess what? It's lots of little tiny pieces in there. Their house is the biggest asset they ever own. So keep that in mind. When you come from the standpoint and with the confidence of a true professional, Reagan, see you later. Thanks for stopping by. When you come from the confidence of a true professional and you speak that way, it's amazing how that comes across. Cheryl, do you really want somebody who is worried about whether they're going to have ramen noodles or macaroni and cheese for dinner? Have that mentality.
Mhm.
Right?
Right. Well, and that solidifies your value also when you look at it that way.
Mhm.
You know, instead of buying into a dime a dozen, you know, and the litany of that, it's more really the value of what you really do bring. And to your point, it's more than just finding a house. There's the back side of all of that that's valuable.
Hey, Mark, would you read that comment that you just posted just to drive that home?
Sure. If another agent is willing to spend their time unlimited, how much do they value their service? And then I was just going to say, they know the value of their service more than anyone else.
Exactly. And if they're willing to work, you know, if they're willing to work for essentially minimum wage, if they're going to spend every waking moment doing something or thinking they're doing something, how much do they value their time?
Well, and that ties into the commission also. You know, if someone's willing to, the old line, if they're willing to cut their commission, how quick are they going to cut your equity, right?
And if you've ever been through or know someone who's been through a really nasty divorce, do you hire the $200 an hour attorney or do you hire the $1,000 an hour attorney? It's painful to hire the $1,000 an hour attorney, but you get what you pay for, right? This is no different. No different at all. What else you guys seen out there in the market?
The market's just slowing down just a titch, more price reductions.
You know, Sherry, I'm going to have to thank you for that because that's a perfect segue into the last line on my notebook here.
Oh, I'm psychic too, sorry.
So no, this is perfect. So, you know, how about this? You know, will I get more equity if I wait? Should I hold off on buying? Whitney's shaking her head, so she's going to be the agent. Good job, Whitney. And by the way, when you take yourself off mute, tell us, because you're new to this group, tell us where you're from real quick. I did some sleuthing. I couldn't find Cheryl online, but Whitney's a fan of all things New England sports, so she's automatically elevated to the top of my awesome list on this call. So
That's hilarious. I'm originally from Massachusetts. I've been in San Diego 10 years with Keller Williams, just joined Kristen Cole. I used to be staff for Keller Williams before jumping as an agent.
Okay.
So I'm excited to be here.
What part of Massachusetts?
South Shore. I lived in Bridgewater and Cape Cod for a long time.
Yeah. I'm from Tewksbury. That's why I know Massachusetts very well.
I'm not a sports fan. That's why I like San Diego. But if I was, New England.
I don't know. Now, listen, on her Facebook page, it says Patriots, Red Sox, all of that. So I was like, okay, so she's not too bad. Now I'm finding out that it's all lies. Anyway, all right. So Keith, you're the buyer.
All right.
Will you get more if you wait to buy? And Whitney is the agent. Whitney, you're not trying to convince him. Okay, and it's your first time. Thank you for stepping up. You're not trying to convince him. Just ask questions and see if by asking questions you can get him to change his line of thinking. Keith, give the objection.
All right. So if I wait, won't I end up with more equity down? Like if I wait a couple more months and let the housing prices keep going up and up?
What's most important to you about this move you're making?
What is most important? Hold on. What is most important? Pause. Can we pause?
Basically what I mean is, are you looking to lock in a lifestyle? Are you looking to stay in a certain place for a certain number of years?
Yeah,
What's your goal?
I'm looking to stay for 3 to 5 years and hopefully step into a bunch of equity and then sell. I'm more interested in the profits I can make.
Interesting. Okay. So do you currently rent?
I do currently rent.
Okay. And ballpark figure, what do you pay for rent right now?
I think we pay $2,500 a month.
Okay. So that is about a mortgage payment. So I know you said you're looking for equity and you want to make the most money.
Right.
So tell me, what does that number look like to you?
Well, I was thinking, you know, if we buy in a few months, then with the way the market's going, we only have to wait a few more months, and we already made it, you know, 50% above asking what was the listing price.
Okay. So tell me more about the 50%.
So, I mean, I'm lost. I was just trying to keep it going.
No worries.
Why would I'm curious, legitimately off script, why would I want to wait to gain more equity? I don't even know why a person would want to do that.
Well, so let me ask you this. Do you think the average buyer fully understands the ramifications if they wait or if they buy now?
I don't think they get it, but what would persuade a person to think waiting would be the answer because of the market
Maybe
trend?
the market's going down. You know, the market could be shifting. What if I can get the house for less?
And then so if it's not shifting, then it would be what she would try to talk me out of, right?
Yes. Okay. Maybe. Okay. Do you want me to step into your role and be
Yeah.
okay? All right. So Whitney, you know, I really think that if I wait, that I can get a better deal. I've got a feeling that the market is going to turn and I can get a better deal.
Okay. So the market is shifting. You are somewhat correct. The benefit of being a buyer right now is interest rates are super low, lower than ever. Home values are up. However, if you're looking to essentially lock in a lifestyle and stay put for at least 3 to 5 years, it does make sense to buy. So tell me, what are your other concerns about right now? I know you want to wait, but are you waiting for home values to drop, thinking that could be a game changer for you?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, if I can save $20,000 or $30,000 by waiting a 6 months or a year, why wouldn't I do that?
So we can't predict the market. What we do know right now, again, is interest rates directly affect your buying power. So even if home values were to come down, good chance is interest rates will go up. So that means you can actually afford less house.
All right, so Whitney, I'm going to guide you through this, okay?
Yes, please do.
You're doing what we refer to
suck.
as laundry listing.
Yes.
Okay, you're telling me. So everything you're saying is perfect. You just want to do it in the form of a question.
Okay.
So let's reverse it. So, you know, Whitney, I understand you're waiting. You know, you think the prices may go down. That's great. So how far down do you think they'll go?
I don't know, like right now, maybe 50,000, 100,000. I know people are paying 50,000, 100,000 over the ask price.
Listening to class? No, this is business.
Let me just put Keith on mute there. There we go. I got you, Keith. Don't worry about it. So, interesting. So you're thinking that prices are going to go down 50 to 100,000. How did you arrive at that?
Well, it seems like markets are like cyclical and we're just at the top. So I don't know if it's a good idea to buy when values are so high, if I want to make money in the long run.
Sure. And refresh my memory. How much did you say you were paying in rent?
About $2,500.
Okay. So who benefits from you paying rent? What does it, better yet, what does that do for you? You muted yourself.
I said, well, I live by the beach and I know I'm paying my landlord's mortgage, but I like where I live.
Okay. And you know what? That's awesome. So maybe now's not the time for you to buy. Maybe you should stay by the beach.
Maybe, but I heard it's also a good time to buy though.
Okay. So off script. Now, you notice she has flip-flopped. It's not a good time to, it is a good time. So it's bringing out the truth that she really wants to buy, and she's using stuff she's hearing as an excuse not to make a decision. So Winnie, let me ask you this. If you could buy this house that we're looking at today, that's $600,000, if you could buy it next summer for $570,000, would that make you feel better?
Yeah.
Okay. And what if you could buy it for $630,000 next year? How would you feel about that?
That would be sad.
Okay. So tell me again, how much do you pay your landlord per year for rent?
I don't know. I can't do that quick math,
That's
but whatever that
$30,000.
equals.
It's $30,000. So you pay your landlord $30,000 a year in rent. So how much do the prices have to drop to keep you from realizing your dream of home ownership?
You know, that's a great question. I don't have the answer.
I've got good questions from time to time, and really it's just to help you come to the realization to make the best decision for you. So do you really see both prices dropping and interest rates holding to make next year a better opportunity?
No. So do you think you could get me into that house now?
Well, I can tell you this. Wayne Gretzky once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So by not acting, I guarantee you have zero chance.
It's a good point.
Did you guys find today helpful?
Yeah.
We're a little bit over. Give me real quick. Just hop on, shout out one or two things that you can take away from this. And I promise you, Denny will be back next week.
You were
I'm a first timer and I learned a lot. So thank you.
Awesome.
I
Cheryl,
did
all good?
Great
Good?
delivery.
Awesome. Mark, great seeing you. All right, guys, until next week, check out Brian's Facebook page. He has lots of really funny questions.
Oh, I have a quick question. Quick question.
Go
You
ahead,
said
Cheryl.
to get the recordings on Denny's page.
Yes.
Which page? And
It would be the Mastery of Real Estate, I believe, is the page that this will be posted on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and if you can't find it, just find me on Facebook, and we will see you guys next week.
Have a successful week.
Bye,
You too,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.